Hi there, Roger Brooks here, and today I want to share with you the 5 fastest growing tourism trends that are going to lead how we do our marketing and even our product development through 2021 and most likely beyond. And I'm also going to tell you how you can tap into each of these 5 trends. And as you can imagine, there is a huge pent-up demand for travel. As a matter of fact, consumers don't see travel as a luxury, but as a necessity. So there's been a ton of research done by all these organizations you see listed here on the left side. And we went and made a list of all these different trends, and there were definitely common threads in them. And then I went to my friend Amir, who runs and is the CEO of Longwoods International, which is a travel research firm. And I said, Amir, how do these stack up to what you're seeing? And together we came up with 5 of the fastest growing trends that I want to share with you. Now, what happened is they generally ask consumers this question. Of course, it was different questions to different people at different locations. But when you travel post-pandemic, what are your travel priorities? And of course, and this goes without saying, number 1 was reconnecting with friends and family. I mean, there's just no question we've been isolated for pretty much a year. And so I don't want to dig into this one too much because that just is a given. And it's always the number 1 reason people travel is to visit friends and family, even pre-pandemic. Instead, what I want to share with you is what is being planned for 2021 with consumers. And how long will they head out for when they head out? Is this going to be more 1 and 2 days short getaways, or are they going to head out for longer periods? And when they do head out, where are they going? And then where do they intend to stay? What's their lodging? What are they going to do? And are they going to travel with anybody? And if so, who are they traveling with? And then where and how they intend to work if they have to work while they're out there. And then how to tap into each of these. So what you need to do, make a list of these. There's A to Z. There's actually 27 that you need to take a note of or that you can implement right now to help you with your tourism recovery efforts. So let's dig into it. The first trend is what is being planned for 2021, and that is go big or stay home. Now, when we talk about going big, it doesn't mean we're going to far off exotic destinations. As a matter of fact, near or far, but it will be domestically. Let me spit that one out for you. We want someplace new and something different. Nearly all said they would stay domestically, and even within the same state or province, or a neighboring state or province, depending on the situation and how much time they have. So I got to tell you, we left the Phoenix, Arizona area, and we headed over across New Mexico, down into Texas, and this is coming to you from the great little town of Bandera, Texas, which I'll tell you about shortly. But on our way, we drove by the Caverns of Sonora in Sonora, Texas, which has been on my list. We didn't get a chance to see it because I had to get ready for this presentation. But when we talk about going big, it doesn't have to be exotic, but this would be something that we might say, I've always wanted to do that. I want to go there. I want to see that. And you walk through the cave. I mean, that's what's cool. And so that might be something that would be going big, something unusual, something fun, and something memorable. Remember that. Those are key words in your marketing. So for instance, people may say, I want to go to Horseshoe Bend, which is near which actually in Page, Arizona. Incredible, the Colorado River running around that. But here's the difference. People want something immersive. So rather than going and seeing Horseshoe Bend, they may say, well, what I want to do is actually stand up paddleboard around Horseshoe Bend. Friends that we're traveling with, they found a guide service that took them near Horseshoe Bend, and they rented a kayak and they kayaked around Horseshoe Bend. It was one of those experiences they'll never forget. And guess what? I added it to my list. My wife added her list. My sister and her husband added it to their list. It is huge. So see what I mean when we say about going big is also make it immersive, not things to look at, but things to actually do. It could be hiking, or it could be hiking around Big Sur in Central California. It could be walking the suspension bridge at the Sea to Sky Gondola, which, by the way, is fabulous near Squamish, British Columbia. So we're not in Vancouver, we're out in Squamish. We're out in these rural areas where there's some great things for us to do. So if you have these, I've always wanted to try that, activities in or near you, promote them. Once again, something new, maybe something challenging. This would be a great opportunity to get people that have been in touch with their mortality to do things, to start working down that bucket list of I've always wanted to do that. It could be as simple as renting and having instructors tell you how to stand up paddleboard so that when you do go around Horseshoe Bend, you're well aware of what to do and how to do it. So whether it's kayaking, whatever it is, this is people's chance to go out and try something new and something maybe a bit challenging. I mean, can you imagine? Even stargazing is big now. So that means in your marketing, let us know when there's going to be no moon in the sky, or when it's and where to go to best see the Milky Way up there. These are things we're talking about when we talk about going big. It's those bucket list ideas that we can do closer to home. Riding the zip line at Blue Mountain, Ontario, which is near Collingswood. It's a couple hour drive out of Toronto. I mean, people are going to be gravitating to these kinds of places and these kinds of activities. And the extended vacation is back. Matter of fact, consumers are saying 14 days or longer. That is fantastic. And that was 55%. I always say success with tourism isn't how many people you get, it's how long you get them to stay. So you had half as many people staying twice as long. That's good news. 55% of them, that's more than half, are saying we're going to do fewer but bigger trips. That's what we mean by go big. Wanderlust is a key word you should be using in your marketing. Visiting the places that no one seems to know about. The last thing we want to do is go stand in lines somewhere. And so use that. This is the year of wanderlust. And the priority is renewal and reconnection with each other, with the environment, with wildlife, with our inner passions. Luzerne County up in Pennsylvania near Wilkes-Barre did a great job. They sent out an e-newsletter to everybody talking about this is the year of wanderlust. Even their visitor guide, they said, request your wander guide. And notice the cover right there. It's got somebody stand or on a dock down there looking at the sky. Even RV on the go, which is camping. What did they do? They put camping is connection. That's what this is. But in your marketing and in what you're promoting, keep it simple. People are looking for the simple pleasures. They don't want complicated. There's a new trend out there, smaller footprint and bigger hearts. People want to give back in some ways, and it might be just picking up trash along a trail or a beach, or helping a farmer for an hour, or visiting wineries just for the purpose of buying something to help them out, because these are the businesses that were most affected by the pandemic. Shopping at small retail shops is big for all travelers now. That's good news. And then people say, I want to do my part while they're out there. So they're making sure they're going to visit those mom-pa retailers, and they're going to let's do something good, and let's experience unique ways of life wherever we can find it. So what to do with this go big or go home? Focus your ads, your marketing, and your homepage on the activities you have to offer, not amenities. I got more on that in just a second. Up in the far north, promote that playing golf at midnight during the summer where it doesn't even get dark. Make sure your primary activity is the focus, whether it's fishing, hiking, but remember to sell the experience, not just trails. Make sure it's immersive. And that is really, really key to this year. Encourage visitors to try or learn something new, and in a place where it's easy to social distance. because we're not out of the woods yet with this whole thing. Include all the details. Leave no question unanswered so it's easy for them to plan a trip to you. And in your marketing, avoid the generic headlines like explore, discover, experience, outdoor recreation, unlike anywhere else, there's so much to see and do. All of these words in your headlines really mean nothing. They don't tell us why we should visit you. So avoid the generic cliche headlines. These words are fine when you write out your text, but it's not the reason we're going to go there. It says nothing about you. And these days, that's going to be really critical. I mean, look at this. Clear is more compelling than clever. In your marketing, those are key words that you need to keep in the back of your mind. So, just to give you an example, a few years ago, Sonora did this. Their Chamber of Commerce did this ad. And I'm not picking on Sonora, but at the time they were promoting everything Sonora has. So what we ended up with here was an ad, a half-page ad in the Texas Travel Guide, where they had 6 photos. They have numerous logos. They had several messages. And in any print ad and online ads, you have 2 seconds to pull people in. 2 seconds. So that means you got to do something that's specific, that's just going to yank them in. So my suggestion to Sonora would be to promote this, their anchor tenant, and just make it simple, fascinating, magical, jaw-dropping, beautiful, sonoratexas.org. And then they tell you what's unique about it. Internationally recognized as the most beautiful show cave on the planet, in quotes, where 98% of the cave is still actively growing. How cool is that? And then they tell you where it's at. And you show people actually in the cave. See what I mean? So this is the year you need to narrow your focus on that one thing that is going big. You know, in Sugar Land, Texas, another great community, once again, they ran an ad, but it had all kinds of, we have baseball, we have downtown, we have, museums, and that one stuck out to me. I thought, maybe this is the year that you promote that one thing. And it is Sugar Land, so I gave T-Rex a name, Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth is waiting. When will you be here? And it's the Houston Museum of Natural Science. So focus on that one thing. And then when they start playing, you say, by the way, we have a great downtown and we have some great downtime activities. But in your marketing, once you close the sale like these, like I showed you here, then answer all the questions. If you're a fishing destination, what will I catch? Where do I get a fishing license? How much is that license? What are the catch limits? What are the fishing seasons? I mean, what time of day is it best to go there? What kind of bait should I use? Is there a bait and tackle shop in town, or even a fishing guide service I can hook up with? How do I get to specific fishing spots? And is there a place to park there? Is there anything else I should know? The more questions you answer, the more likely you are to close the sale. Keep it simple. And when you market these things, I see so many of you marketing our lakes. We have lakes, rivers, dunes, trails, beaches, mountains. These are all amenities. What people are looking for are activities on the lakes, rivers, dunes, trails, beaches, and in the mountains. So they're looking for fishing, kayaking, hiking, biking, wildlife viewing, you name it. And in your photography, show people doing that activity. So in this photo, it would be better to show somebody kayaking out there by themselves. Social distancing, getting in touch with nature, that's what we're looking for. Go big or go home. And that is the number one trend. Number 2 is, where are these people heading? And it's to the off-grid, wide open spaces, away from it all. For the first time, away from it all actually means something. The more rural, the better with consumers. And domestic trips reign. Like I said, 97% of these people are going to either rent a vehicle, whether it's a motorcycle or a RV or something, or they're going to travel by car. 97%. That's 5 points higher than pre-pandemic levels. We're going to hop in our car and go somewhere. And 79 cents said they're going to stay within the state or the province. But what they're looking for, these public lands, they're close to small towns and amenities, but they're out in the middle of nowhere. This is what we're looking for. As a matter of fact, in the United States in 2020, 62 million people visited Bureau of Land Management properties. I mean, they were boondocking. This is the age of free independent travel. You know, with the advent and growth of solar energy and lithium ion batteries, people are snapping up these trailers and tents and everything, and they'll stay out there where they can boondock for a week or longer. You know, our friends that we're traveling with were up at Lake Powell near Page, Arizona, and they found, look at this spot. There's nobody else around. They're right on a beautiful lake in the middle of this incredible area that's just south of the Utah state line near Page, Arizona. That's what they're looking for. Now, here's the key thing. The number one activity of visitors anywhere for this year is hiking. 94% are looking for hiking experiences. And remember, you need to promote the experience, not the fact that you have trails. So is it extreme hiking? Is it bouldering? Is it easy for family with kids? Is it really scenic? Are we going to see herds of wild elk or deer? I mean, what is the experience? And make sure you promote the experience, and this is where you'll find it, and that's the name of the trail. So when we headed out on this trip, we came across Arizona and down into New Mexico and then into El Paso, Texas, the very West Texas, and we stayed at Franklin Mountains State Park. And while we were there, of course, just like everybody else, we went for a hike, the Aztec Caves Trail. This is an amazing hike. And so it's like 3/4 of a mile. It's pretty steep, but when you get up at the top, there's enormous caves you can go explore. So once again, this is pretty cool. It's going big again. And the views from up there were spectacular, this whole desert landscape. So we're looking for hiking, but combined with that, we want clean, fresh air. We want nature and wildlife. We want relaxation, and we want hiking in uncrowded, less popular, but still experiential trails. So what will be that experience? Nature, wildlife, landscapes, and with each other. I got to tell you that once we left El Paso area and we headed into central Texas to the town of Bandera, you know, we stayed at this place called Medina Lake, and it's an RV park. But what makes it so popular are the deer. You can hand feed the deer. I mean, they'll walk right up to you. Now you're saying, you know, I'm not encouraged to be able to go out and feed the wildlife, but in this case, these deer are like pets, and the RV is busy year round, so they're always fed. As a matter of fact, what's really interesting, when in the world did you see feed stores become popular tourist destinations where people will go buy feed to feed the deer to keep them healthy and eating the right kind of materials? But once again, this is just a shot in the middle of the day. But that's why it's simple, but it's unique and it's fun and it gets us to connect. In this case, very personal as one walks right up to you. You know, and this is the rise of rural. 33% of all travel searches were for rural areas. That's nearly 4 times more than in 2019. That is fantastic and is good news. So what to do? Look through these slides again. Find and promote your strengths, not everything you have to open. Use words like quiet, peaceful, rejuvenating, uncrowded. You know, it's time to reconnect. And don't be too cliche with this. You know, 3 stunning hikes that will leave you breathless. And by the way, do promote your top 1, 2, or 3. And then if you love that, go to our website and we'll give you 3 more. Always promote your best ofs. You know, little things like a wonderful piece of heaven no one knows about, or a wonderful slice of heaven. Use quotes if you can get them. But, you know, get back to the simple pleasures, but don't be overly cliche. During this whole pandemic, hearing on the news over and over, we're all in this together. After a while, it's like, please, I don't want to even hear that. So don't be overly cliche, but but do pull into the people's heartstrings. I love this. This is talk about Las Cruces, what we traveled through. The best part of our trip to Santa Fe is we never got there. They got waylaid in Las Cruces. Now, nothing against Santa Fe. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite cities anywhere. But once again, it's a little bigger. And of course, Las Cruces isn't exactly small. But what they did is they just thought, wow, this is great. We never got there. And so it's a good theme you might want to follow. I mean, ads like this, you can't answer this call with a smartphone. And once again, this is about connecting with each other, with friends, with family. I designed this quick little ad just to give you an idea, and feel free if you want to use it. Really getting away from it all, the perfect recipe. We've got all the ingredients. Just mix in a lot of clean, fresh air, some solitude, and quiet reflection. Take a deep breath and exhale slowly. For the complete recipe, visit us at your website. You could do an ad that says just what the doctor ordered, and use these ingredients for that. But this is the type of marketing you should do this year. And if you have local television, do destination broadcasts of your top 3 trails. Make sure they're immersive. Little 2 and 3 minute clips are fine. Put it on a YouTube channel. Put it on your website. Do 1 minute Instagram posts. But always show people in these activities. Always promote your best ofs, your top 3 trails, your top 3 eateries, your top 3 fishing spots, whatever it is. And that's what you need to do. Now, that's where they're going. They're looking for the wide open spaces. But where are they staying? And this one caught me by surprise a little bit. Cabins, yurts, cottages, and glamping. This is the year of glamping. As a matter of fact, lodging can be the experience or can play a major role in being the experience. People are looking for homey accommodation, a good word for you to use. Homey accommodations. The cottages. I mean, we could go on and on. The cabins are just in big demand. Unique travel places like this treehouse that I really want to stay in, would be fantastic. Here in Bandera, Texas, there are many dude ranches. Dude ranches, this is the year for dude ranches. In Ghost Town Blues up in Saskatchewan, you can stay in these cool little original log cabins. These are not just fake, they're original. You can even stay in a authentic, real covered wagon. How cool is that? So this is all part of living the experience in this case. This is just awesome. It's something I want to do. I've added to my bucket list. But wouldn't it be cool to stay there? And you could rent 2 or 3 of these and have different experiences, particularly if you're with friends and family. And I'm getting more into that. Barns and barn lofts are huge now. They're cool, they're rustic, they're neat, they're different. It's a great way to connect. Luxury yachts are big now. I mean, even things like platform tents are huge. How cool can you get there? I just went, that's so cool. Even these dome tents that you'll see out on these decks like this. We've even seen hotels set up in a back field, some of these extra lodging, just to provide some option for hotel guests. Airstream glamping is big now. This is not something you tow away. It's actually there permanently. They've restored it. And we've been to campgrounds that'll have a couple of Airstreams, a couple of teepees, a couple of platform tents, and they'll create a whole campground. And wouldn't it be cool to do a family reunion, stuff like this? You take the whole campground, people get to stay in these different cool places. And of course, this is the year for RV rentals and sales. Glamper van road trips. My friend Samantha Brown, that's on the PBS network with Places to Love, been so isolated. So her and her husband Kevin and their 2 kids went out and they rented RVs and went out there traveling. And that this is that age for that. I'm not going to get too much into RVing because in the DDA Resource Center, we do have a whole video that's specific to marketing to RVs. For us, after leaving Phoenix, we're on our way to Durant, Oklahoma Oklahoma to do a project. And what are we doing? Yeah, we're out there doing this in a travel trailer. And even there at a casino, Choctaw Country is right there. And this is the travel guide for Southeast Oklahoma. But Choctaw is a casino. And what do they have right next door as part of it? A KOA campground. So casinos, places like that, they're saying cater to RVers. If you don't want to stay in a hotel, it's another way to get people into the casino. Now, one thing to remember with this, where people are staying, they are going to be price conscious. A lot of people were laid off or their income's reduced, and they want flexibility. And when I talk about flexibility, the ability to cancel the reservation within a week or 10 days prior, because we don't know where this is taken, that we've been hearing about a second strain, and we've been hearing about increases. And while we're going through the vaccinations and being immunized, we still want some flexibility because we just don't know what's going to happen in your state, in your province. So these two things keep in mind. And make sure when you've closed the sale, tell them that we're very conscious of what you can spend and we are very flexible. And then for regular hotels and other places, if you don't have something that's ultra experiential, then offer little things like board games or put a cornhole toss in your lobby. Just create other activities. And then if you're in a rural, quieter destination, make that a focus. So with your lodging opportunities, rather than utilitarian, become experiential. The last thing we want is just a regular old hotel, motel room. Table games, free use of bikes, treats and appetizers, wine tastings. You could even say when you come and check in, we come to our front desk, well, you could choose your towels, the pillows, your soaps. You might even theme some of your rooms. But you gotta be not just utilitarian, because people want experiences. Encourage the development of this kind of lodging around. One thing that's really cool, the people up in Lethbridge sent me this, and it was actually a television news story about 5 hotels in Lethbridge that actually themed some of their rooms, and you could go there and they're doing photo shoot rooms, or you can go for 20 minutes and get photos taken in all kinds of settings. And if you spend the night there, you can go to the other 5 and look at these different theme rooms. But this is about being creative this year and creating new experiences like you're seeing here. And by the way, for those in B&Bs, you're probably saying, when are you going to talk about us? This is your year. Typically, 4 to 5% of all travelers stay at B&Bs. This year it can be 15 to 20%. And a great way to market it is have the whole house to yourself. And particularly if you're a smaller property, or if they're traveling with friends and family, I'm going to get to that. This could be a great way to do that. But then having the butterfly gardens, the reflection pools, settings like you see the woman here are huge in where people are staying. Now, trend number 4. Who are people traveling with? This is the year of pod travel. That means we're traveling with close friends and family. I thought, like everyone else, as soon as the pandemic's over, we're going to go visit grandma and grandpa. We're going to go visit friends and relatives, but not so fast, because now we're likely to travel with them. So we're both all going out in the middle of nowhere, out to those wide open spaces. That is really good news. These are people that are in a close pod. They've been social. They've been traveling together, and they've all been tested. However it is that they're staying close, and it's exactly what we've been doing with our friends. And here's myself and my friend Jim, at Painted Rock Petroglyphs in Arizona. We're traveling with our little pod, the 4 of us, and we're visiting all these cool places along the way. Multi-generational travel has always been a top trend over the last 5 to 7 years, but now we're actually traveling with them, and not just flying to Disney World or to those places, but actually going out and renting RVs and traveling together. And that is really, really good news for B&Bs, Vrbo, and Airbnb. As a matter of fact, solo travel is down 44% and decreasing. It will come back, but right now we've been so isolated for so long. That's the last thing we want is more isolation. So this is going to be great. It's time to capture lost trips. But if we said we didn't get to take the trip last year, but we're going to do a different trip this year, would you join us? And that's great news. So in this one, promote togetherness. Cater to pod travel. Group campsites are big. B&Bs and rental homes. Your home away from home. The place is all yours. Key marketing messages like reconnection, together again finally. The best things in life are the people we love, the places we've been, and the memories we're about to make along the way. So pull at the heartstrings, but once again, don't be overly cliche. Big in the second half of 2021 will be reunions out at barns, farms, wineries and stuff, places like that that are a little bit away from it. Once again, always adhere to social guidelines, but this is a big trend. And you know what? Once again, I always say, I'd rather have half the people spending twice as much time. Wouldn't it be great if you had a quarter of the people, but they're in bigger groups spending that much time? See what I mean? And that's what's really cool. And then finally, trend number 5 is, where are people working? And this is the year of nomadic travel. This is embracing the work from anywhere. 2020 saw more people working from home than any time in North American history. And now they found out that this can actually work. But what we don't want is to be just cooped up in our apartment, our condominium, or even our home for month and month and month on end. And so now what we're doing is we're saying, let's go work from somewhere else. These are digital nomads. And I got to tell you, this year, we're digital nomads. We're spending 8 months of the year on the road. Rather than taking planes and all of that, we're just going to travel from these different projects and speaking engagements I have lined up. This is the year of digital nomads. This is the year of RV. There are more than 1 million digital nomads right now in just the US, not counting Canada. And there are entire families doing this. What's really important for them is, do you have cell access? Do you have Wi-Fi? So those are the things you got to market to digital nomads. But they're staying in yurts. They're staying in cabins. They're staying in those homey retreats. You can see her in the bottom picture there working in a yurt. Long-term, Airbnb and Vrbo are both concentrating on long-term rentals. And we're talking 30 days or more. And the Caribbean is even offering 1-year digital nomad visas. How cool is that? Instead of getting a 30-day visa or a 2-week visa, they're offering a whole year for you to go there. And then the reason you go there is because of those downtime activities. All of these things are playing a big role. So in our case, we started in Phoenix. We headed over to Southeast Arizona, the town of Bisbee, that area. Then we headed over to Las Cruces and El Paso, like I showed you. And right now we're in Bandera County. And Bandera is great. I want to thank Patricia and James so much for allowing us to use their offices to produce this presentation. But one of the reasons I really wanted to visit Bandera, I've heard about it for a long time, is that it's the cowboy capital of the world. They own it, they live it. It's not just stage, it's not Disney, it's who these people are. This is a typical photo of the old steel windmill there and the bar there, and you see the motorcycles there, and then the horse. There are actually hitching posts in front of many of the places, and they are used today. And not just by people dressed up in costume, it's who they are. They even do Cowboys on Main every week where they have chuck wagons and food and cowboys selling stuff. And these are real cowboys. And so it's a really cool experiential place. And of course, they got the dude ranches there. And it's in the famous Texas Hill Country outside of all the urban areas like Dallas and San Antonio and Houston that are big metropolitan areas. It's great for places like Bandera. And then talk about downtime activities like floating the Medina River. Of course, we're staying at the Medina RV campground. And so this whole trip has us doing this, and then we're heading over to San Antonio, and then over to the Gulf Coast, and then on up to Durant, Oklahoma. This is our loop, and almost all of it's going to be in the rural outlying areas. And we're exploring a lot while we're working as digital nomads. Even later this year, we're going to do this figure eight, working up in Pennsylvania and North Carolina, and speaking in Illinois or in Missouri, excuse me, and working up in Deadwood, South Dakota, and up in the Northwest. So, what to do with this? When you promote digital nomads, when you promote to digital nomads, promote the amenities. So them show the signal strength in your towns at different locations. Make sure your RV parks, campgrounds, hotels, motels, anybody that doesn't have wired internet, what is your cell signal of all the major characters? If you have Wi-Fi, let us know where we can find it. Or if you have WeWork type spaces, let us know that. Promote your destination to digital nomads. Include the perfect places for them, like these little cabins, and that goes back to trend number 3. Then promote the top 5 downtime activities. Because remember, they might be standing there because you have the cabins and it's remote and it's rural. But when we're done at work each day, we want a downtime activity that's different than what we've been doing the whole past year stuck at home. And these would be within a 30-minute drive. It might be a great hike. It might be fishing. It might be stand-up paddleboarding. It might be kayaking, canoeing, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing. Whatever it is, promote your downtime activities. And tell them once you've done that 5, there's 5 more on our website. Promote places to get things printed, places to join a Zoom meeting if cell coverage is lacking. All of these things would be great. And so these are the 5 fastest growing trends that could help you recover in no time. There is going to be a pent-up demand. Now, one thing I didn't talk about in this presentation were meetings. And so that's what we call MICE in the industry. Meetings, incentive travel, conferences, exhibition. I would put these off till the second half of 2021. It's going to be 6 months before we can get enough people immunized. And to get it out there and till we get enough herd immunity. And so these things, people are going to be a little bit reluctant in the first 6 months, but in the second 6 months, I think we'll start seeing these come back. But I think we'll start seeing them come back in terms of reunions and small meetings and retreats and those kinds of things where we have 20 to maybe 60 people more than the bigger conferences. So this is really a good guide for you to use in 2021 and to share with those that you need to help market in your area. And I hope that you will continue to enjoy the DDA. This is our webinar lineup for 2021. We may change it. We changed a lot of them in 2020, based on the pandemic. But we're hoping we can stick to these. We may throw in a couple other ones depending on how things go. But I'm telling you, as far as top trends, these 5 will get you going. And that's why I really concentrated on marketing with this one. And so I wish you the very, very, very best in 2021. This is going to be a recovery year. What's really cool is most of the things I showed here, you could do with a very small budget. And if you're like most, that budget has been cut to bare minimums. But these are things you can do with social media, using Airbnb and Vrbo to promote some of your cool stays and to promote those wide open spaces that you have, particularly in the rural areas of the US, Canada, and elsewhere. And with that, God bless you, and let's have a fantastic 2021. All the best for your efforts.